guys and welcome to Tiger Eye. Thank you for purchasing this tutorial, I hope you enjoy it. This one is all about my kind of everyday makeup look. So my everyday routine that I tend to follow, my go-to products and my go-to brushes. It's designed to kind of be long lasting but still quite fresh and natural. It's the look I tend to go for if say I'm at work all day and then I'm maybe going out after. So if you'd like to know how to achieve it, keep watching. Okay, so I'm going to start with cleansing the skin. I just tend to use the Garnier Micellar cleansing water. I do have a separate skincare routine that I will film in another tutorial, but when I'm prepping my skin for makeup, I literally just go straight in and just give it a really quick cleanse. And then for moisturiser, I always use the Charlotte Tilbury Magic Cream. I use it on clients and I use it on myself as well. It's really good kind of for any skin type really. I do have quite an oily skin type, so I just use slightly less of this because it is quite a rich cream, but it's just so good under makeup. It really hydrates the skin, it gives a really nice glow to the skin as well, and I often find you don't have to use primer if you're using the Magic Cream. So I'm just going to apply it to the high points of my face. And then massage it in. And you can see already what like a nice glow that leaves just as it is. The key to getting really nice glowy skin but still having some coverage is to make sure your skin prep is really done well. So moisturiser, if you're wanting to use like a glowy primer underneath, do so, which I'm actually going to do now. So once I've done Magic Cream, I follow up with the Charlotte Tilbury Hollywood Flawless Filter. This is such a good product. If I could only recommend like 1 or 2 Charlotte Tilbury products, I would definitely say this one. It adds a tiny bit of coverage. I wouldn't say it adds enough to be classed as a foundation, but it does add a tiny bit, and it's also got a slight bit of colour to it. So they do come in different shades. I tend to use shade 5 just because it warms my skin up a little bit. But it is very glowy, this, that's what I will say, so do not apply it all over the face. I find the best areas to apply it are again the high points of the face. So anywhere you want that glow, just pop a tiny bit of this. And this is so good if you're having a day where you don't want to wear loads of foundation or any foundation at all, but you do just feel like you need a little bit of something. And then you can either use your hands or you can use a brush to apply it. I tend to just use my hands. If I'm doing it on clients, I'll use a brush, but on myself it's just easier to use your fingers because the warmth from your fingers will help kind of blend it into the skin a bit better. So now the skin prep's done, I'm going to go straight onto the foundation. If I'm doing clients' makeup, I tend to do the eyes first, but if I'm doing my own, I don't really wear too much on my eyes day to day, so I just go straight in and finish my skin off and then go back to my eyes. So my foundation changes depending on how much kind of coverage I want, how long I need the makeup to last for, but usually, and 9 times out of 10, I will use the Charlotte Tilbury Light Wonder Foundation. I mix 2 shades together because sometimes I'm slightly fairer, sometimes I'm slightly more tanned, but the 2 I tend to mix are shade 6 and shade 9. This is such a good foundation. I find the Charlotte Tilbury Light Wonder Foundation, I love all the foundations, but this one in particular just leaves the skin looking like skin. So if you are after something that doesn't feel too heavy, still gives you that bit of coverage, but gives you a really nice glow, the Light Wonder Foundation is the one that you need in your life. So I'm just going to go and pop that straight on. And then for a foundation brush, I'm going to go in with the Real Techniques foundation brush. And I'm just going to buff that all over. When you're doing foundation, leave a slight gap under your eye, because if you struggle with your concealer creasing, which I do, you want to try and limit how much product you put underneath the eye. So because I'm going to be putting concealer underneath there, I don't need to be putting a layer of foundation underneath as well, because the more product that goes under your eye, the more likely it is to crease. So always leave just a slight gap underneath ready for your concealer. And then to make sure the foundation is really blended in and really seamless, I go in with a sponge. This is from Real Techniques. Make sure it's damp though. So you can either run under the sink or I just spray mine with some setting spray. Take whatever foundation is left on the back of your hand and literally just pat that over. That'll get rid of any kind of brush kind of strokes, marks, whatever you want to call it. And again, just make sure everything's really blended in and really seamless. Okay, so now onto concealer. So when I'm doing my everyday makeup, I tend to use 2 concealers. I use a colour corrector to take away any of my dark circles, and then I use a more neutral toned concealer just under the eyes, on the T-zone, just to brighten up my entire face. So the colour corrector I'm going to use is the Charlotte Tilbury Magic Vanish colour corrector. This is mine. It's very bad because I use it all the time. And I do love this colour corrector. I find it's a nice kind of texture. It doesn't crease. It definitely helps to take away kind of any darkness under my eyes. It makes me look a little bit more awake, and it's quite easy to apply as well. So you can use your finger or you can use a brush. I prefer to just use a small eyeshadow brush, and I'm just going to pop that anywhere I feel I have a little bit of darkness, and this is usually kind of under the eyes and slightly in the inner corner as well. It's obviously like a kind of salmony pink colour, so you will need to go over with another concealer anyway. But it definitely helps just to make me look more awake. So really easy step, that one. So now I'm going to go in with my usual concealer, which is the NARS Soft Matte Concealer. So I love this concealer. If you have oily skin like me, this concealer will be your new best friend. I've nailed it now, but I used to always want kind of glowy skin, but when you are oily, there's a very fine line between glowy and shining. And I found that the best way to get the coverage, the glow, keep it lasting all day and not looking shiny is to use a good mix of kind of glowy products and slightly more matte products. So obviously my foundation, the Light One foundation is very glowy, lightweight, dewy foundation. The Magic Cream really hydrates my skin and adds a nice glow to it. But now I'm going to mattify the areas that get more oily with a more matte concealer. So that's where the NARS concealer will come into play. So I use shade Custard. So with your concealer, it needs to be 1 or 2 shades lighter than your skin tone in order to kind of brighten the centre of the face. So Custard is perfect for me, slightly lighter than my foundation. So the brush I'm using is a My Kitco My Ultra Multi. If I could only have one brush to do my entire makeup, it would be this one. It's in the name, like you can use it for so many things. You can use it for concealer, you can use it for contour, you can use it for blusher, you can use it for eyeshadow. But I find it's perfect for concealer because it's small enough to kind of get under the eyes, get, you know, into like the little nooks and crannies, if you want to call them that. But it's fluffy enough to really blend the product out. So I love this brush so much. And I'm just buffing that, almost kind of in like a triangle shape. I know some people tend to put the concealer, if they're using like a liquid one, on in that kind of triangle and then blend it in. But I just kind of like to add as I go. I always think with makeup, the rule is, well, not the rule, but the kind of general rule of thumb is that it's easy to add on, but it's quite difficult to take away. So my advice would always be start kind of with tiny amounts and build up as you go, rather than going in like full ham straight away and then feeling like you've gone too far and you have to take some of it off. So for blemishes, I still use the same NARS concealer, but I use a shade more similar to my foundation because if you are going to use the same shade that you use to brighten the face, it's just going to highlight that spot. So I'm going to go in now with the NARS concealer, but in shade Biscuit, which is a little bit more like my foundation colour. And then to blend it in, I'm going to blend the outer edge. If you go like this over a spot, you're just going to be moving the foundation, or not foundation, sorry, the concealer all over. So for blemishes, literally dab it on and then buff the outer edge around. I always kind of advise clients and students to, even if you're not a makeup artist and you're just doing your own makeup, still have a few different shades of concealer because we do use them for different things. You know, I've used a slightly lighter one to brighten the centre of my face, and then I'm using ones more similar to my skin tone to cover up all these spots. So I'm not moving on to eyes just yet, but what I'm going to do is take whatever's left on my brush and just dab it over my eyes, just to take away any discoloration on my eyes, so when I come to do them, they're kind of prepped and they're ready. Okay, so back on skin. So bronzer is kind of like a product I couldn't live without. Again, if I had to only pick one kind of complexion product, it would probably be bronzer. So again, depending on kind of the day, you know, whether it's summer, winter, how long I need it to last for. I've got a couple of kind of go-to bronzers. At the minute, I'm absolutely loving the NARS liquid bronzer in Laguna. This is just such a nice product for, again, if you want that really healthy, glowy, fresh skin. I do find if I need my makeup to last quite a long time, I do have to set this with a powder, which I will be doing today. But I cannot recommend this enough. Even if you are not wearing foundation and you just want to add a little bit of colour to your skin, this is a great product to do that with. But I find it works really well with the foundation that I use. So it blends in really nicely and it just adds, like I say, a natural colour to my face without, you know, me looking orange. So it's fairly easy to use. It's very liquidy. So I'm just going to literally, and it's running out, which is helpful. So you can kind of see how runny that is. So back of your hand, any kind of fluffy powder brush will do. I like the My Kitco, my Flawless powder brush for this. And I'm just going to pick it up and literally buff it into the outer edge of my face. So with bronzer, all you need to do is remember the number 3 shape. Forehead, cheekbones, jawline. If you do that, you cannot go wrong. So like I said, I do normally have to set the NARS Liquid Laguna bronzer with a powder bronzer. If I had more of a dry skin type, I'd probably just leave it as it is, but because I am a little bit more oily, I am going to have to set it. So the bronzer I'm going to use is the Fenty Beauty bronzer. This is in, I hate the name, but it's in Caramel Cutie, but it is a really good shade. So I'm going to use a really big bronzer brush to apply. This is the Charlotte Tilbury bronzer brush. It's quite expensive, I'm not going to lie, but I've had this about 3 to 4 years now. It's as good as new and it is literally foolproof for bronzer. You cannot mess it up if you use this brush. So if you are not going to use this brush, any big bronzer brush will do, as long as it's really big, really kind of dense, but also really fluffy as well. I would definitely not advise using a brush like this for bronzer, which is a kabuki brush. So anything that's quite tightly packed with the bristles, anything that doesn't really spread out too much, I wouldn't recommend. Your bronzer's probably going to go a little bit more, what's the word I'm looking for? A bit more liney. It's not going to blend as well into the rest of your skin. So big powder brush and you can't go wrong. And I'm just going to do exactly what I did with the liquid bronzer. So the number 3 shape, forehead, cheekbone, jawline. When I'm applying bronzer, I find the best way to get the most natural finish is to do what I'm doing now and kind of circle and almost flick the product on. If you're going like this and pressing it, bronzer is quite pigmented, so it's going to go on quite strongly. So the more kind of larger your movements are, the more natural and more blended your bronzer is going to be. Just remember when you're doing your cheekbone to always say above, not below, because you want the number 3 shape to be seen but blended. So really it should be going dark, light, but without any harsh lines. So just remember to stay above your cheekbone when you're doing your bronzer. I don't tend to contour if I'm just doing my day-to-day makeup because it's just a step I can't really be bothered to do. And I find bronzer kind of adds enough colour and kind of depth to my skin without having to do a contour as well. And then a good tip is just to take a tiny bit and just literally skim it across the centre of your nose, and that just creates a little bit more of kind of a natural sun-kissed look as opposed to kind of that sculpted contour look. So then I'm going to just finish everything off with a little bit of blush and a little bit of highlighter, and the product I tend to reach for the most for this is the Charlotte Tilbury Glowgasm Face Palette, and the reason I use this quite a lot every day is because it has the blusher, highlight, eyeshadows and everything in it. So I'm quite a big fan of products that are multi-use products, so that I can use for more than just one thing. It just makes everything a little bit easier, it's a little bit more cost effective, and I do love the shades in the Glowgasm palette. It comes in 2 different shades, Lightgasm and I don't know what the other one is, but it's the darker one. I've gone with the lighter one, which is Lightgasm. So you've got the highlighter, 2 highlighter shades there, the blusher and the bronzer. The bronzer is a little bit light for me, so I don't tend to use that one, but I definitely use these three. So I'm going to start with the blusher, and the brush I'm going to use is a My Kitco 0.5. The name's rubbed off, but I do really like this one for blusher. I've used it for years. And then I'm literally just going to smile and apply that to the apples of the cheeks, and then as the product starts running out, I tend to just very gently blend it up to the temple as well. I find when you do that, it looks a little bit more natural. It looks like the blush is come from within the skin, as opposed to just two kind of pink spots on your cheek. I'm going to settle that now with a powder. The reason I use powder to last is because, well, for starters, I like to use all my cream products first. And also, the reason I do it last is because it kind of gives me an indication of how much powder I need. Obviously, as I said before, I'm quite oily, so I do always use a powder, but some days I'm not as oily. So I find that once I've got all the products on my skin, I can kind of see how they're all settling and how much powder I'm going to need. So the one I use day to day is the Charlotte Tilbury Flawless Finish powder. I love this powder. You can literally sit for an hour applying this powder and it will never ever go cakey. If I'm going on a night out, I will use a more kind of heavier translucent powder, but you'll just have to watch another tutorial to see that one. So for the everyday makeup, this is the one I always go for. Comes in a nice little compact, and it's just so soft, like it literally feels like silk. So it's great. It's such a good one to keep topping up throughout the day. Like I said, it's not going to go cakey, it's not too heavy, it just really nicely kind of keeps the makeup on your face and settles really nicely into the skin. You can use any kind of fluffy brush to apply. I do like to use a Charlotte Tilbury powder and sculpt, but any fluffy brush will do. And I'm only going to pop powder where I popped the concealer. So that's under the eyes, forehead, nose, chin. I might pop a tiny bit here, and anywhere I kind of tend to get oily, but I'm not going to put it all over the face, because again, the key is to let the high points of the face where you want the glow to really come through and to mattify the areas you don't. So like I said before, my foundation, my skin prep has created like a really nice glow on the top of my cheekbones, but the areas I don't want to look shiny, so under the eyes, on the T-zone, I've mattified them with the concealer and the powder. And that is honestly the best tip I can give to anyone who has a slightly oily T-zone or who has more of an oily skin type, to get glowy skin without looking shiny and sweaty and not glowy. Okay, so I'm finally going to sort these brows out. My eyebrows are not good. Like, they're not great. They never have been. So I do find the products I'm about to use help massively in giving me a slightly like fuller brow, but also keeping it looking, well, as fluffy as I can get it. I get a lot of questions about eyebrows and how to do them, because the fluffy brow is kind of all the rage at the minute. I love a fluffy brow personally. I think it looks really natural. It really softens the face. But when you've not got much eyebrow hair like me, it's quite hard to do. This is the best product for getting fluffy brows, no doubt about it. I know a lot of people have used Pears soap and used other soap. I have tried other soap, doesn't work anywhere near as well as Soap Brows does. All you need to do is take a setting spray. I use the Rimmel Instafix and Go, spray it into the tin. Take a clean mascara wand or a mascara brush if you've got one. Go into the soap, get as much on the spoolie or the mascara wand as you can. And then really take your time to fluff and push the soap up through the brow. If you've got eyebrow hairs that fall quite straight like mine do, you're going to have to repeat the step a few times. But you do need to take your time with soap brows and repeat the step over and over. I find if you just do a quick through, it doesn't stay and it doesn't keep them upright as much as you'd like, especially once you go and put product back onto the eyebrow. So the brow pencil I've been loving lately, I haven't always used this one, this has been kind of like a new find of mine, is the Soap & Glory Archery Brow Pencil. It's very, very similar to the NYX brow pencil, but I find it lasts a little bit longer than the NYX one. So it comes with pencil on one side, which you just twirl up. I don't think I am twirling it the right way, and a mascara wand on the other, or a spoolie, whatever you want to call it. So you can use the one side to keep fluffing up the hairs. But what I'm going to do now is start penciling it in. So I always begin, normally when you fluff your eyebrow hairs up, you can kind of see a rough shape that your eyebrows naturally have. So I can see that mine goes slightly more upwards towards the arch and then down. However, there's no kind of guideline underneath. So I find the easiest way to do eyebrows is to draw a very light line underneath and then fill in the hairs. So I'm going to start from the beginning of my brow, and I'm going to very, very lightly sketch a line up towards my arch. Again, another good tip I can give you is to not try to do the line in one go, because it'll go really heavy, it'll be very kind of blocky, so just very gently kind of sketch that up. Once you've got the line underneath, go from your arch back down. You'll have to keep fluffing the hairs up, because as you're putting product on, you'll be moving them back down. So already, that looks loads fuller, and that's just from doing a line underneath. So to make sure I keep them still looking quite natural, I'm going to very, very lightly add in the hairs in the gaps, but I'm going to follow the direction of the brow hairs. So instead of doing another line at the top, I'm going to literally replicate the eyebrow hairs that are already there. And it's really important to follow the direction. So obviously these ones are going slightly more vertical. And then as I get more to the outer edge of my eyebrow, they come off more this way. So I'm going to follow the direction and pencil it more in this kind of downwards area. Just remember to keep fluffing up the hairs as you go, so you can see the rough guideline and the rough shape of your eyebrows. Okay, to the hard bit now. Penciling in at the front of your eyebrow. This is where it could all go very, very wrong. So I do find using a pencil to do this bit is definitely the easiest way. Even if you use a powder or a pomade to do the rest of your brow, I would definitely recommend getting a pencil to do the front, because you have to be quite precise with the strokes, but also you cannot apply too much pressure. You need to keep this part quite light. So literally take your pencil and very, very lightly add a few extra hairs, but really take your time with this bit. However, if you do mess it up and you do feel like you've gone on a little bit too harsh, all you have to do is take the brush you use for concealer. You don't need to put any concealer on it, there'll still be a tiny bit left, and literally dab that over the front. This kind of rule goes for any part of your makeup routine that you've maybe messed up. If you go too heavy with your bronzer, your blusher, anything really, just take your concealer brush and pat over the area that you want to kind of tone down. And it works really, really well. It's much easier than taking off your eyebrow and starting again, because no one wants to do that. Okay, so that's one eyebrow done. Now I've just got to tackle the other one. So skin is done. I might add a little bit of highlighter at the end, I'm not sure yet. So I'm going to go on to the eyes, and I'm going to go back in with the same bronzer I use, which is the Fenty Beauty bronzer, and another My Kit Cone, my Ultra Multi. This is just a slightly smaller version of the one I used before. And I'm just going to literally pop this bronzer into the crease of my eye. I really don't put too much on my eyes day to day. I'm going to be putting false lashes on, but normally I have lash extensions, but I have no lashes, so they need something on them. And I'm literally just going left and right in my crease with this bronzer. I love the Ultra Malay for eyeshadow because, like I said before, it's kind of small enough to get in certain areas, but it's big and fluffy enough to blend out. So then I'm going to go in and do my kind of like winged smoky liner. This is what I get asked loads of questions about and how to do all the time, and it's actually really, really easy. So I go in with a brown liner to start with. This is the Rimmel Exaggerise Waterproof Eye Definer. I kind of switch between this and the Charlotte Tilbury Audrey liner. Obviously the Audrey liner is a little bit more expensive, so I stick to the Rimmel Day to Day. But I really like it. It's a nice kind of soft kohl, so it's easy to blend. So I literally just start by sketching out a line on my lash line. And you don't need to make this too neat, just literally go left and right with it. And then when it comes to doing the wing, I kind of leave my eyes open, look straight ahead and literally just sketch out a tiny, tiny wing, not making it too neat. And the easiest way to do a wing is literally just to look ahead and then just like go slightly higher with the liner. Don't worry about the underneath bit, we're going to be sorting that out afterwards when I start blending. And then when you're doing the inner corner, look down and try and make it as thin as possible on the inner corner. And you should be left with something like that. And now you've just got to blend it. So I find the Real Technique smudger brush is the best kind of brush for doing this. The reason being is that it's almost like a little rectangle. Oh, drop my liner. Little rectangle, if you can see that. So place the brush on top of the liner and literally just go left and right, smudging that in. Again, you do not need to be too neat with this. And then as you get to the wing, lighten your pressure and just very gently buff it out to soften that edge. And then to really neaten up that wing, just take the beauty blender or the sponge that you used before, line it up, so line the top bit up with the edge of your eye and literally just bring it upwards in like a sweeping motion, and that just cuts that eyeliner and makes it look loads neater, loads more kind of polished and a bit sharper as well. And that's literally all you have to do for the smoky wing. So the line is done, so I am going to pop on some false lashes. I do normally have lash extensions on, but I don't at the minute and my eyes are too bald to not have anything. So I'm going to be using a pair from Prima Lash. These are the lashes that we sell in the studio and that I use on all my clients. I really love these lashes. They have loads of styles as well. My favourite style kind of for every day is Style Peachy. They look a bit like this. These are cut to size already because I have already worn them once, which is a good thing about these lashes. You can wear them like 6 to 7 times if you remember to take them off and don't put mascara on them. So yeah, I find these ones, Style Peachy, are the closest I can get to kind of the look of hybrid lash extensions. So yeah, they're definitely my favourite ones. So the best glue I found recently is the Duo Lash Glue, but it's actually the black one and it is the quick set. So you can literally put the glue on the lashes and get them straight on, which is perfect if you're in a bit of a rush. So it comes with an applicator. And my advice would be to pop as much glue on as you can without overloading the lash. And the good thing about black as well is that it blends in a little bit better than white. So give the lashes a little bit of a bend, like so. And then when it comes to applying them, you want to go from above downwards. So hold your mirror slightly below your face, line it up, hold the lash at the end, not the middle or the front, and go from above and literally just place it down on the eye like so. So line it up and then just place it down. And then once it's on, you can attach the inner and the outer corner. I'm not gonna lie guys, this is a tricky step and it took me a while to master, but that is the best advice I can give. Go from above, hold the mirror slightly down. Whatever you do, there you go, and it's on. Whatever you do, do not look straight ahead and close your eye to put the lash on, because when you close your eye, it scrunches your eye up. Whereas when you look down, or you look down to the side, it stretches your eye out. So it provides like, almost as if you were to stretch your eye and put the lash on, whereas when your eyes are closed, the lash hasn't really got as much of a grip, if that makes sense. So down, above, pop it on. And then you can just pinch the lashes against your own lashes once it's on and it's nice and secure, just to make sure they're really, really pushed together and that lash is not moving. So lashes are on, and now there's just one kind of final step to do just to finish the eyes off. And what it is I'm going to take a black eyeshadow and literally just press it on top of the eyeliner and where the false lashes meet my lashes, because I find by doing this, it blends everything in a little bit better, it hides the false lashes, but also it stops my eyeliner kind of transferring. I do always think with an eyeliner, you do need to set it with the shadow, so it just covers all bases really. So the brush is what makes this technique so easy. I've not found another brush or an alternative to this brush that makes this step as easy as it does. So this is the My Kitco My Line and Define brush, and the reason it is so good for this step is because it is tiny. It's like a really, really tiny kind of thin rectangle shape. Now, it's amazing for creating a really thin line on your lash line, but because it's still a fluffy brush, it's perfect for powder. So when you're using black eyeshadow to just define your lash line, this brush will make it so easy for you. So I'm literally just gonna line it up where my false lash kind of meets my lash line, as you can see, and I'm just gonna press the black on top. I'm not gonna go left and right. I'm literally just pressing it on top just to blend the false lash in slightly more with my lashes. Cover any glue, even though the glue is black, you still might be able to see a little bit of it, so it covers that. And it darkens the wing and stops my eyeliner from transferring, so kills multiple birds with one stone this step. So now lips, and then the look will be done. So when I'm doing my lips kind of day to day, again, I don't tend to use too many products. I like something that's going to stay, I like something that's quick, something easy, and something that's kind of flattering for whatever I'm wearing really. So it is normally a nude, and my kind of go-to nude lip liner is Charlotte Tilbury Pillow Talk, but this is in shade 2. So she now does shade 1, 2 and 3. 1 I used to love, but it was a little bit too light, so number 2 medium is perfect, for me anyway. And I'm literally just going to line my lips with that. But when you're lining your lips, try not to do it in one kind of fail swoop again. A bit like when you're doing the eyeliner, just very gently sketch it on. And these Charlotte Tilbury lip liners are actually waterproof, so I tend to not only just line my lips with them, I actually fill out my entire lip with it as well. This just ensures it's going to stay all day, and it just means I have to top it up less, really. And it's a nice colour Pillow Talk, it's nice all over the lips. And then finally, this is a step that I think most people would probably do before they put lipstick or lip liner on, but I like to do it last because I kind of like the balmy texture it leaves. So I do my lip liner and then I actually just go in with a lip balm. This is the Dr. Paw multi-purpose soothing balm. You can actually use this on your lips, skin, hair and cuticles, so it's a bit of a multi-use product. But I literally just dab some of that over the top and then that is it. So the lip liner is going to stay all day because it's quite a good waterproof lip liner, and the lip balm is just going to keep my lips nice and hydrated. Okay, so there we go, that's the finished look, my everyday kind of go-to makeup look. This is the look, as I said in the beginning, that I would probably do if I've got all day at work and then I'm maybe going out after. It's quite easy to do. I know it seems like there's a lot of steps, but obviously when you're doing it yourself, you just kind of whiz through it. And yeah, they're all kind of like my go-to favourite products. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, thank you for watching, and I hope to see you again soon.